Hey guys, my name is Brittany Ransom and I'm the host of the Apprentice Podcast, a podcast all about amplifying Black inspiration. Over here we're all about Black entrepreneurs, Black artists, Black ideas, and creating a platform for that. I already know that I'm going to be inspired by all these conversations because of how raw and open they are, but I thought why not put a platform for that so that others can be inspired by the Black voice. I'm so grateful to have you as a listener and I can't wait to see where this podcast takes us. So don't stop here. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram at Apprentice_pod or subscribe to the YouTube channel at The Apprentice Podcast all the way through. Awesome. Thank you all and hope you enjoyed this brand new episode of season 1 of the Apprentice Podcast.
But I want our coffee shop to be something different, like where we really pour into our customers and it's not about just making money or serving them a cup of coffee. It's about having a connection. So that is something that my employees really work on with our customers, getting their names, knowing their orders, and letting them feel like they have a part here. Okay, so this is Angel's Island Coffee. My name is Angel Hussain, and I have had Angel's Island Coffee for 16 years.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
nice. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, 16 years.
I guess do you want to start from the beginning and tell me about like how?
How we started, like my dream, my passion.
Yes.
Okay.
I might ask you questions, I guess, in the middle of it just to get more clarity, but
Okay.
yeah.
So this is Angel's Island Coffee. I am Angel Hussain. I've had it for 16 years, and I grew the passion for this living in the Fiji Islands, actually. I lived there for 11 years as a missionary kid.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I worked at a coffee shop there with an owner who was 18 when she first started her first business, and she ended up opening 5. And so I was like, this is really fun. This is a cool job. Everybody comes, even if they don't like coffee, if they like coffee. And so my wheels started spinning, and I tried to figure out what I could do here in Huntsville because I knew I had to go to America to go to college. And so I started my dream from living in Fiji at age 16.
Oh, wow. Okay. So now, what was it like? I guess how did you get connected with that? You said the girl who started at 18 this coffee shop. How did you get connected with
Well, we went to her coffee shop regularly, living in Fiji, yes.
good.
Me and my dad would go on special times, and so I went there, and then I was just like, hey, I was an American citizen, so I couldn't like legally work, so I just like volunteer worked, but I would work every single weekend for about a year and a half.
Oh, snap. So this was just like, this became a passion immediately. You were just like, this is it.
Yeah, I really, really liked it, and I was very, like when I started kind of diving into, do I want to open a coffee shop? I started asking the owner questions and, hey, like how did you do it? And she had a lot of help from her family, which is what I did as well. I had a lot of help from my family. So at age 22, starting a coffee shop wasn't as hard because I wasn't alone. But I knew I could do but the office stuff was a bit intimidating.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need help. Yeah.
Dang, okay, yeah, 22, I feel like that's a really like ripe age. Maybe just me, I'm 23 now. I can't imagine like 22. I can't imagine that 22 like starting like a whole coffee shop. I guess, I know you said you were like had a lot of confidence from knowing, I guess, her and everything and hearing her story. But I guess, what give you guys the word I'm thinking of, I guess, is the audacity to be like, I can do this.
I think where that came from was, so I worked at the coffee shop there in Fiji, then I moved to America and I lived in Arkansas for a couple of years, and I worked at a movie theater there, Sonic, drive-thru. I never did skates.
Yeah, okay.
No, that's crazy. And then I worked at like some other little part-time jobs, and then I came to Huntsville when my dad was like, do you want to do this coffee shop or not? You got to move here. So I moved here. They'd moved back from Fiji at that time. And I worked at Atlanta Bread and Tuesday Morning as well. Yeah, and through those jobs, I always felt like I was the best worker, not to be boastful, but I always tried to achieve more than they wanted of me. And sometimes it actually got me in trouble, which didn't make sense to me.
Hey, it's okay.
And then there was, some managers that were like, do as I say, not as I do. And I was like, my mind's just going like, this is so toxic, like, why are they even working here if they're not being a good example? Like, they never thanked me for doing more than I needed to. So when I was like, okay, we're opening a shop, I want to have a shop that is a wonderful job that people don't want to leave, like in a good way. There's a time and a place for each employee, everybody has a season, but I wanted them to enjoy working here, and I wanted to be the example. And so I think I've done that very well without being too boastful, because the employees have a hard time leaving.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would say that's a good problem right there.
It is.
I guess, what kind of systems do you in place, or is it just like you were just authentic? Or
I'm just authentic. I'm a mom. I'm a counselor. I'm a everything to everybody. I have a very good relationship with each one of my employees, to where I'm like, hey, I'm going to do the work. I'm not going to tell you to get on the ground and scrub that floor. Like, I'm going to do it, and then the next time it's your turn. But like, we're all going to do the nitty gritty, because we are all here to have a wonderful experience with our customers. And if we don't know all the aspects, then they can't be as empowered as I want them to be. So.
Oh, nice. So they're like, do you treat your employees like almost like an extended family in a way? Oh, that's wonderful. That's really cool. And I think you just had like your 16th birthday for your business. So
yes.
How was that, like, getting everybody together and just sharing how far you come?
It's weird. The numbers just keep moving, and I'm like, seriously? And my numbers keep moving. But I'm just thankful. We've weathered through a lot here at Angels Island Coffee. In the very beginning, we had the oil spill and the economy go down, and then we had the overpass be built. We knew it was going to be built. We checked it out first. But God wanted us to stay, because every time that we had considered moving, everything just kind of fell through. And so I was like, we're just going to stay. We're going to make this the most amazing coffee shop here, this location. Early in the years, I thought about opening another store, but that's a lot of work, and I don't feel like we will serve the customers and the community in whatever other area as well as where we are now, because I have my eyes on it. I'm here, and I can pour into my employees.
Nice. And I know you said God told you about this location and staying here. Yeah. I guess, how was it accepting that, even with like the construction going on?
Well, when the construction happened, that was the first year that out of my mouth, I actually said, I think we will close by the end of the year, if not next month. Like, it was very challenging. And again, had wonderful help and support from my family, who poured into the store financially, and also like they did sweat equity, in here. And so it was just wonderful to kind of pull us all together. But through that, and even COVID wasn't actually hard on us. It was great on us because we have a drive-through. There's one thing that we always made sure that we did is have a drive-through, and so that actually helped us stay alive. And so from all the things that have kind of knocked us down, and then like we were finally above water, and then the COVID happened, and all these things just up and down, we are ready to continue to rise and to serve the community with everything growing down here in South Huntsville. We're just really trying to make a big impact, and we're not at the end of our growth. We're at the beginning. So we're going to thrive and not survive.
Amen. Amen. Amazing. Oh wow. So that's crazy. I remember first coming here and seeing the drive-thru and be like, I never seen like, besides like Starbucks, the big chain, I never seen like a coffee shop with like a drive-thru in it. Was that something you said you've always done that?
We've always had it, and my brother was the one who was like, all coffee shops have to have a drive-thru, and I was like, seriously, again, very ignorant and like not really sure about all that stuff, but I took that into account, and we just went ahead and did it, and it's been really, really helpful to us. My dad always trying to, funny story, I started the coffee shop not enjoying coffee.
Really?
I love to make it.
Oh, really?
I loved the sugary coffee, and so you'll see on the menu, it'll say Angel Style. That was my previous style. Okay. I don't drink like that anymore, but it took having kids to start weaning off of the sugar, and then adding 1 shot, 2 shot. Now I'm up to 3 shots.
Okay, got
3 kids, 3 shots.
Slowly worked your way.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I can have straight espresso now.
I guess, what roles does your family play, I guess, whether like now or from the beginning?
In the beginning, it was like me and my dad and my brother and my sister-in-law for 2 years. We did, like I worked open and close every single day, and I didn't get paid for 2.5 years, and that's okay. But what I learned during that time period, and something that my dad's always really probably instilled in me, is that we don't have to open the store perfectly, exactly how we want it to be. That's how businesses sometimes fail, because financially they put all their thoughts and ideas into the color scheme and the chairs and the tables. And so in the beginning, we didn't have an acrylic stand, we didn't have a pastry case. We were just doing it. We were. Yeah, so we've all kind of grown from that. My brother ended up joining the Army, and so they moved off, and my dad is my business partner financially. Like we have like 50-50. 51-49 is what we have now. But yeah, my brother and my mom, she is just present and helpful all the time and supportive whenever we need her to go run and do stuff. But my dad shops for us every day, and my brother is now roasting, and at some point, as soon as he perfects the bean, we're hoping to use his roast.
Oh, wow.
It's not even like local, it's like family, like we're really kind of bringing it all together.
Oh, that's really cool. So he's planning to pour back in, and you pour back in the community. I love it. It's like a circle right there. Oh, that's really awesome. It's really awesome. Man, snap. So what? So he decided to get roasting after he worked in the coffee shop?
He just started wanting to do it by himself, so he just did it in the kitchen for a while, and then he ended up buying a big old roaster. Yeah. And so he's selling coffee to like different churches, different people, and he sells it here as well at the coffee shop. But I'm very picky about our espresso, and it has to be like perfect before we transition. And I want to have like a big deal about it when we do transition and have like a tasting and having like a big party here. But I know that having the right bean is important for our customers because they don't want things to change. They don't want their drink to change. So we're just waiting that out.
Okay, yes. The time will come.
It will. Yeah, no need to push it.
I guess, what was that, I know like when you first started I saw like online when you first started a company, like, what was it, 2 years into, you got like best coffee
we didn't even know, like, at all. Like, anytime we've ever won anything, which we've won several, like, we never know. Customers are like, hey, did you guys know that you won best of what? We're like, nope, not at all.
Yeah, like, great.
We're just
awesome.
serving customers as best as we can and having a good connection with them. But yeah, 2 years after, we won Best of Huntsville, got like a cute little plaque and everything, and they do like all-night stuff now, but I don't know what we won.
Okay, he was like, they'll come as they come.
That is not important to me. Having really good coffee, the best coffee in town, and we're just different. Like, I love all the coffee shops that are open right now. Like, super excited. I need a place to hang out, right? So I go to all the coffee shops in town, but I want our coffee shop to be something different, like where we really pour into our customers, and it's not about just making money or serving them a cup of coffee. It's about having a connection. So that is something that my employees really work on with our customers, getting their names, knowing their orders, and letting them feel like they have a part here. Originally, this used to be orange, the walls used to be orange, but I try to empower my employees to come up with great ideas and kind of like, I want their ideas. Like, drinks are totally from them. Like, the original menu is from me. Every once in a while, I'll come up with something, but they have wonderful excitement in creating our specials board and being like, hey, we should buy or paint this or buy, different furniture. And I'm like, sounds great. Like,
so you give them like open.
But not open.
Well, like,
I empower them to come up with great ideas.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. I guess, how else have you like tried to spread into the community or just like impact the community?
I just do what I'm told. I don't know. We just try to support in any way. Like, when people come in with donations and things like that, we love to give out donations because it's another little piece of us that gets out and about. We love it when people buy our merchandise, our sweaters, our shirts, because it's free advertising for us, but also we don't pay for advertising and never have in 16 years. And some businesses do, but we never could afford it, and I think word of mouth is more important than on the radio.
That's true. That's a blessing too, to not have to pay for any advertising.
Yeah, we've survived without paying for advertising. Yeah.
That's awesome. Man, I guess if you want to, do you want to go into like your home life and just like that? Yeah. How you grew up.
So, how I grew up? Okay, so like from the very, very, very beginning, like where do you want to start?
That's just true, very, very beginning.
Okay. All right. Well, I was adopted at 3 days old, and we lived in Mobile for a year, moved to Huntsville. So Huntsville is basically my forever home, other than Fiji. And we lived in Huntsville till I was 8 and moved to the Fiji Islands as missionaries, and I was there for 11 years. That's where my husband's from. That's another love story there. But living in Fiji was really, really wonderful. Like, it's different now because it's a lot more modern. But I loved the freedom of just telling mom and dad, hey, I'm going down the street, you know, just barefoot. Like I was barefoot all the time, all my entire life, going to the neighbor's house, coming back, having some tea, coming back, you know, just a lot more free. Like living in America, there's a lot more stress. We're really, really high paced. And it really turns people into being high paced, because even if I go back to Fiji, which I haven't in a while, I'm like,
yeah, go.
Okay, we gotta
like,
go.
why is
And they're
everything
like, hey, we don't have to be there for another hour. And I'm like, no, we're supposed to be there in 10 minutes. Like, nah, we're good. It's called Fiji time. So it's really hard to just slow yourself down. So in knowing that as an adult now, I kind of like allocate different vacations and rest time every other couple months. We try to do something as a family to just stop.
Yeah.
You just have to force your stop, otherwise you'll never stop. But yeah, moved back to America when I was 19 and lived in Arkansas a couple years, lived in Huntsville, and then started the store and been here ever since.
Nice. So you didn't go to college, you just went straight
I went to community college. I didn't do well with community college. I didn't know why I didn't do well, but it's because I'm dyslexic and I need a little extra help. But I only found that out a couple years ago.
Okay, what was
Yeah.
that like?
It was the best day of my life.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I was homeschooled living in Fiji, and it was really hard. Now I know why. And I was like, I'll never homeschool ever again. And then God put it on my heart when I started having children to homeschool. And so my daughter, when she got out of preschool at our church, I homeschooled her, and then I quickly noticed, and other people noticed, that she wasn't like catching on to things, and then I'm feeling terrible as a parent. And then we started getting her different tutoring, got her like vision therapy, occupational therapy, you know, all of this stuff. But what was fun and wonderful is that I knew that she was reacting the same way that I did as a child at the same age. And so I knew her, but I didn't know how, like what it was. I'm like, why are we so similar, but like she's not catching on stuff, but I know how she feels, but what is it?
Exactly.
Yeah, and so then through lots of trial and error and lots of friends and family who helped us, like I have family that are teachers and they tried to help her with different stuff. Somebody finally said, I think she's dyslexic. And I was like, okay, fine, let's just get that tested. Let's just get that checked out, okay? Let's just mark it off. And they were like, she's in the perfect range of dyslexia, and she definitely needs some tutoring and some help and assistance. So we started scrambling and raised money to be able to send her to school, but she had to be like in a hybrid homeschool to have classroom experience. So she's been at Randolph, Green Gate program at Randolph for 2 years now. But when she was tested and she came out of that testing, and the lady told us, I was so excited, and my daughter was too, because she finally felt like it was something. It wasn't just me. It was something that I was born with that now we can get help with. So now she felt better, like a lot less stress, a lot less anxiety. She very quickly poured into herself, knowing that she could easily tell people, hey, I'm dyslexic, I'm not going to read that chapter, like in Bible class.
Yeah.
So best day of our lives.
Oh, wow, okay. Did you get tested right after she did?
I did an online test, yeah. I did some online testing, and I was just like, well, yeah.
Yeah, like,
And I was
yeah.
like, yeah, so.
Oh, it's really awesome.
Yes, yeah. From that, I started just recently my nonprofit. Yes.
Tell me about that.
Okay, so 2 years ago, I found out I was dyslexic, and then, and I'll just dabble a little bit. I do doTERRA essential oils, and we can go into that in a minute. But at the end of that year, I was asked to speak on a Zoom post-convention tour about just my life as a doTERRA advocate and all of that. And somehow dyslexia just kept coming. Like I had notes and everything, but dyslexia just kept coming out. And then so many people responded. There was like 18,000 people on that Zoom. Wow. I mean, the feed was just going nuts. And I was like, what is happening? Yeah. But I said at the end of that, I wanted to start a nonprofit to help people financially to be able to send their kids to different schools or get tutoring, because it was very spendy. And we by no means have a lot of money. But then I didn't know how to get started. So I've done some healing and growth in the last few years, and I've been on a journey for myself over the last 5 years, just to kind of heal, grow, understand myself, like why am I different, trying to find peace and my energy level and all that, and trying to stay away from things that I feel are toxic, that my body tells me are toxic. And so last year in November, December, I met an old friend that I hadn't seen in 14 years, but really God placed them there.
Yeah, I was about to say, he knows.
We started talking, and then I was like, hey, I want to start this nonprofit. She's like, oh, I started plenty of them. I'll help you. And I was like, okay, when are we going to get together? So very quickly we got together. I started a board. I had several different family members that are on the board and some friends. And within 3.5 weeks from like filing it to receiving the paper and the letter in the mail, the 501c3 came in the mail. Like everybody's like, oh, it takes 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes longer. Mine came in 3.5
3 weeks.
Like that's not us.
Yeah, let's
that's
say.
God.
That is God.
That is so God.
That's
and
amazing.
One of my board members, my cousin, she lives in Arkansas, and so she at Christmas time had only found out that week that her son was dyslexic. And so she was like, tell me all about it. Like, what do I do? How do I get help? And I was like, oh, I'm hopefully starting a nonprofit. She's like, can I be a part? And so what we've created is a resource that's online that can be nationwide. So it can be per state. We're just adding the states that we know right now that have resources. But when you look up dyslexia online, there's just so much junk and so much like automated stuff, and you just want results. You need help. You need to talk to someone. And so we just want all of the resources that we align with on that site so that you can choose your state, and you can also get help even long. Like if I know somebody in Ohio, there's no resources there, I would love to be able to get them a tutor from here that they can do Zoom and that the nonprofit would pay for. So it's really like we are just connecting with other people and other families. Getting testing is actually the hardest thing right now. Like the wait list is almost a year. Yeah, and I have a cousin that's teaching, and she's a kindergarten teacher, and she has a child who needs to be tested for dyslexia. But the availability is July, which is right before school starts. So that's really challenging for that poor kid who's just wasted an entire year. So I hope that our nonprofit can be able to pay for testing outside of this, Alabama, maybe Nashville, whatever, so families can get help faster.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's exciting. Like, it is a passion. I'm going to be going into the public school system soon and meeting principals to let them know, hey, we have this resource. And if, for those that don't know, it's like 1 in 5. So when I go to the principals, I'm going to be like, how many students are diagnosed dyslexic? Is it 1 in 5? And if they're like, oh, 3 or 4, and I'm like, there's a discrepancy.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of students in your school, and there's a lot more that are missing out on needing the assistance that you can provide them. So hopefully our resource can get a lot more kids tested, a lot more awareness, a lot more parents knowing that they're dyslexic. Because if the parents know, they're going to advocate better for their kid.
Exactly. That's amazing. Wow. I feel like you're advocating almost for your younger self and for your
Yes,
child
I am
as well.
very much.
Like, this is full
But
circle.
I'm very conscious to be, careful with my daughter. Like I bring her in on it to make sure that she doesn't feel like she's getting passed up, and that she understands like what I'm doing, and she can share it with her friends as well. Yeah.
Is how do you get funding and stuff for?
We're starting.
Yeah.
I don't know yet. We have a letter, we have like packages, we have, PayPal, all that stuff set up. Our website is almost ready to launch. I would say like a week, maybe 2 weeks tops, and it'll be ready to launch. And it's called The Dyslexic Difference. The Dyslexic Difference.
Okay, nice.
Yes, because we want to make a difference.
Exactly.
Yes, in the world. But yeah, we're hoping to get some funding soon. We don't have, but a little bit right now, and that's okay.
Yes, it will
because
grow.
as soon as it comes in, we want it to go out. So we're actually like compiling a whole list of students who need tutoring help, parents or teachers who want to get certified. Because the more kids that we get the more parents that we get certified, the more availability we have for tutoring. Because tutoring is actually something that we're lacking here in Huntsville. Like, it's filling up. There's not enough tutors. So we need more teachers that are in public schools certified so they can like catch it faster, and other people who can do tutoring on a regular basis.
That's really good. 'Cause I didn't even think about being like certified for that. I didn't know you need a certification for that.
For tutoring, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm by no means certified, but like as an adult and learning more, like a little bit here and there, like I almost can pinpoint adults who are dyslexic now. Like when they talk and they tell, about their life or whatever, I'm like, I wonder if you're dyslexic. And if you only knew, you could help your child. So I try to like, tread lightly, but also it's an amazing gift. Like knowing that we see in color, we are in 3D. There's just so many amazing things about being dyslexic.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I guess tell me more about that. I guess the amazing things about it.
People just think you just flip your numbers, front and back, and that's not necessarily the case. Like, we think outside the box. We're also very visionary thinkers, so we can, like, not really foresee the future, but we can see what the impact of what we could do now could do. So it's an exciting thing. So it'll get us excited now, and things that we're passionate about, we go 100% in. We're not passionate about it, you're gonna get like 20% of our brains. So that's really challenging. And I know that there's tons of dyslexic, famous people in the Arsenal, people in NASA, and that's wonderful. But some of the people don't even know that they're dyslexic. So if they knew, they might be able to add that to their resume, because people do hire dyslexic people, especially the way that the United States and the world are changing, more automated and more, computer animated. Dyslexic brains are very good for that. And so some people I've heard recently are actually looking for dyslexic people to hire because of whatever nature their business is. Dyslexic people are way better at doing the job that they need. Yeah. So, like me personally, I'll switch my letters. I'll even like switch my word. I'll say a word backwards. And knowing I'm dyslexic has given me and my husband a lot more grace. Like, he's a lot more gentle and kind towards me and my daughter, like messing up stuff. We might say, hey, we're going to the bathroom. Well, we're like going to the kitchen. Okay. But what we meant to say is we're going to go to the kitchen and then the bathroom next. Yeah. So we just mix up stuff all the time. But it's really cool to catch ourselves and to also just give myself grace and be like, well, I'm just dyslexic, that's why. And now I'm not as worried sending text messages out and sending emails. I'm trying to learn a huge vocabulary, because there's so many words that I didn't know that I just ignored. Okay. Not knowing I was dyslexic, but now knowing I'm dyslexic, there's so many words I don't know that I'm trying to understand as an adult. So I can utilize that in my verbiage. And feel more empowered myself because I'm growing. Like, I want to continue to grow. I put myself through like my own school on a regular basis and do different groups, different things. Like, I've done a Tony Robinson thing before. I do a ton of like camps and stuff with doTERRA, and I learn a lot of things. So I love learning new tools, because then I want to share it with other people. Yeah. As soon as I learn something new, I'm like, hey, did you know? Yeah. So if I learn something new, I always share it.
Just to spread the idea, to spread the word.
Yeah, because some people might not know that. I didn't know it. Maybe they don't know it. And so I love that I have younger employees here at the coffee shop, because I feel like I've poured into them in a way that I never was poured into. And so they are very wise. Like, some of my employees are so wise, and they got their head on straight, and I'm just so proud. I'm just like, yay, you guys are like on a really amazing trajectory. So I love that feeling that I help them a little bit at a time so that they can be better people. Because when I teach my employees behind the counter, I'm like, I teach them people skills. And if there's ever like a disagreement with employees, I'm like, y'all got to figure that out. Or one of you has to go, because we're not going to have that in here. And they figure it out. I've only had one person in 16 years who just didn't want to figure it out. But everybody learns. Like, my 16-year-old employees have to learn how to have a confrontation with a 24-year-old.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, right? So, like, I love that. I was like, I was never pushed into that.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So they get to learn life skills and people skills here.
Well, that's awesome. You get more out of it than just a job.
Yes. This is not just a clock in and clock out.
Yeah.
If you think it is, that's sorry.
Then sorry, wrong job for you.
Yes,
like,
yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I guess now, knowing all that you know now, how would you, I guess, give your younger self advice about life, or just what advice would you give your younger self?
The younger version of myself that knew I was dyslexic.
Well, I guess. I guess it could be both.
So if I knew I was dyslexic, I would have done a lot more. I feel like I would have done more. I would have not hidden so much, because not knowing I was dyslexic, I hid from a lot of things that I wanted to do, because I didn't know if I could do it right, and I didn't want to be embarrassed, and I didn't want to like mess up my words. Public speaking is something that I said I would never do. Don't say those things, LOL. But God has put in my heart that like I've seen a vision of myself on stage in front of thousands of people, and that was 3 years ago, maybe 4 at this point now. But I know I have a story to tell. I know that there's something that other people need to hear. And after being made fun of when I was a child, like in Bible class, laughed at in front of the entire class, like it put a trauma on me that I had a shock right in my throat, that anytime there was a time that I needed to say something, or I wanted to speak up in church, if I started to speak, I literally would start losing my voice. It would just go lower and lower and lower, and I couldn't even catch it back. It was just, and then it was just like a block in my throat, like I was swallowing a giant gumball, until I resolved the issue or just calmed down. So I realized that there's some things that I need to really work on. So I'm working on my public speaking right now.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a time that I'm going to have to speak. I don't know why. But the younger self, I said, I would do what I'm doing. I would hope that somebody would pour into me like I'm pouring into my employees. Like my younger self, not knowing I was dyslexic, finding people to pour into me would be key, because there's so many people out there. I have a story to tell. You have a story to tell. I have something that I need to hear from you. You have something that you need to hear from me. And that just goes around. That's even how I see church. That's how I see community. Like, we're not stuck in one group of people. We are always trying to connect, because that's what I feel God has put us on this earth, to all be together instead of just having one tiny little tribe.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's amazing. Awesome. I guess switching gears a little bit, I know you talked about, you said your essential oils and everything. Tell me about that.
Okay, so 5 years ago, I was just a mom with young kids, always sick, and they're all snotty, and some are in pre-K, homeschooling some. But I ended up like going to the doctor like 5 times in 1 month, and they just kept saying, just go home, they're fine. And I was like, something's got to change. Or they would give me a prescription, and I'm like, do they really need one? You know, like, I thought it was going to be this, and it's not that. And I realized that I was just doing whatever I was told. I was kind of a soldier. And prior to that, my middle son, had fallen when we were at my uncle's house in Nashville. And then that was another God moment there. He fell, his nose was bent, like he fell, and the metal chair fell on top of him. We were rushed to the ER with my cousin. My aunt told him to go to this hospital. It was right down the street. Nobody knows, but God told him to go this way. We didn't know where we were going. We just ended up at this hospital, and literally nobody was in the parking lot, and nobody was in the waiting room, and we thought this place was closed.
Yeah, but I'd say no
like,
one's
there was
in there at
one
all.
lady that was standing, like in a stall, and like with a light, like it was a movie.
Yeah.
She was like, "Hi, how can I help you?" And we're like, we need to get him checked out. And
Exactly.
She's like, "Sure, come on back with me." But when we were in and out with full body scans, full diagnosis in less than an hour. Wow. And when we came out the parking lot, and the whole waiting room was full, like absolutely full. Wow. Then when we get back to my aunt's house, my aunt was like, "Hey, how did such and such, whatever hospital that was?" He was like, "Oh, we went to the other one." She's like, "I told you to go to this one." He was like, "I thought you said that one." And I was like, "That's God." But everything was fine. Basically, his nose was fine. It was just cartilage. He was still growing. But they said that he's living in the worst place in the United States because of allergies, and that he's going to have to live on Flonase for the rest of his life. And I didn't feel like that was a good diagnosis. I felt like there's another way, because I lived in Fiji, and we would like get leaves off the trees and make our tea, or I'd have a Fijian grandma who would come take care of me and rub different things on my stomach or my chest when I was sick, and I would be better faster, like really quick. And so I was like, okay, I got to get back to that. I got to figure out how to do that here in America as best as I can. So I had a friend who used essential oils, and for the longest time I was like, you're such a gamer, well, whatever, witchcraft. And I was like, okay, tell me a little bit about it. So like I just dabbled a little bit. I ended up enrolling, and then I didn't even open the box for a month. I just did it. But really, I told my husband, I was like, okay, we got this kit. We got to use it. We need to take everything out of the cabinets. The only way this is going to work is if we are a team. So we took everything out of the cabinets. We had like doTERRA body wash, like all the essential oils. We had Correctex, which is like Neosporin. So we had everything to take care of boo-boos, right? And it didn't cost like an arm and a leg. So we put everything in our house in a trash bag, put it in the garage. 6 months later, I was like, oh crap, that's still out there. And I was like, what are we supposed to do with it? I was like, this is like hundreds of dollars of like cough syrup and this, but we had been able to take care of our family for 6 months without needing it. And so I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna throw it away. So we threw it away, and ever since then, my kids know how to take care of themselves. They're way more empowered. If they have tummy aches or, growing pains, which kids get that a lot, they know what to do for themselves. So I loved being able to empower them at a young age to how to take care of themselves, the toxicity of stuff. And my daughter is now going to start a new body butter souffle business that's a healthy option, because her and her friends are all into the spa days, and I'm like, don't put that on your skin. That thing is so toxic. And so we're going to try to make some fun things for her to sell and stuff for her to use, as well. But yeah, doTERRA has been my life, but I've been introduced to so many people through doTERRA that it's changed my life. And so I'm forever a doTERRA junkie, because it's not just oils. It's about the connection. It's about what they do. And they really serve the places that the oils come from. They pour into that community. And so I'm really hoping to go to they do a sourcing trip where they go out, they'll plant trees, or they'll build houses for the house, for the things in the area, build schools. But they also show you which oil is native to that area, and then they also take you to the distillery and show you all of that stuff. So they impact farmers. They pay farmers more than double what they would get on a normal basis. So I love that. Yeah, I love that they're pouring into them. People think essential oils are expensive, but if you think about how many ways you can use one bottle, it actually is way cheaper. Because you can use one bottle for headaches, you can use it for scratches, you can use it for blood clotting, you can use it for food, you can use it for tea. Yeah, depending on which bottle it is, you can use it in so many different ways. You can use it 5, 6 different ways.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So I'm always like, which oil is that? And I open up my book, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's good for that. Let me try that out.
I need to invest in this.
yes. I love that it keeps me busy, because I don't just like having plain 3 things or 25 different things. It brings it down to a smaller amount, but I can use it in so many different ways. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
And how long ago did you start?
I did doTERRA 5 years ago, and I'm really kind of kicking it up right now, because I really want people to take back their health. I want them to see that it's a lifestyle. It's not just, oh, let me try oils for now. It's you can clean the bathrooms with it. We're very natural minded here at the coffee shop as well, and I only have 1 bottle of bleach, and everything else is very clean, because if I feel that way about myself, I want my employees to have healthy cleaning things to clean the bathrooms with. So I love that we can use doTERRA here at the coffee shop as well.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Is it? And you said it's mainly for cleaning, or just anything else?
Are you talking about the doTERRA stuff?
Yeah.
So there's cleaning concentrates. Mm-hmm. There's body washes. There's lotions. There's body butters. There's a whole array of oils as well. And so we'll add some oils to shine this up, to our spray bottles. But yeah, there's so many different ways to use the oils.
Very nice. That's really cool. Thanks. Yeah, I need to invest. I know my mom has dabbled in it a little bit, but I've never really gotten into it. I was like, I need to. Okay, yeah. Is there a book with it, you said?
I have a book.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to invest. Okay.
Yes.
And I also wanted to ask you about you're a counselor as well.
So I do generational healing stuff, and kind of life coaching. Basically, my goal is to help the individual kind of figure out their pathway of what they want to do next, where are they stuck, what do they want to do, and also figure out where is this coming from, because technically any kind of trauma is about 3 generations deep, if not 4 or 5. And so the way that you do stuff, maybe you make a meatloaf and you cut it in half, and then you're like, why do I cut it in half? Well, my mom did it. And then you're like, Mom, why do you cut it in half? She's like, well, we didn't have a big enough pan, so we always cut it in half because we had to put 2 different pans.
Yeah.
So there's so many little things that kind of help people identify that, but also resentment is huge in a lot of people, and a lot of family traumas kind of take over a lot of people. So I try to help them pinpoint that and how they can redirect their life in a way that is still honoring and being gentle and careful to their family, but also taking care of themselves first. I'm trying to help people learn how to put up a wall without being a therapist. Yeah.
How'd you get started in this?
I literally just told a friend, and she was like, "Oh, you should look into this one lady. She's doing generational healing." I was like, "I've never heard of that."
Yeah.
So I went on and did a free consultation. I was like, "I need to do this." I was like, "More people need to know about it." So I just feel like I'm kind of the person that's like, "Hey, if I know about it,
Yeah, everybody
else needs
yeah.
to know about it." So then it'll just keep going. So I'm really good at like relaying information that I learned, and so I felt like that was something that really resonated with me because I was going through that at the time.
Yeah.
And every time I help someone, I also heal as well. So it's a wonderful kind of circle.
Yeah, it kind of comes back full.
It really
back
does.
around.
Yeah.
So, I guess are you thinking about, is that something you do like on the side, or do you have like your own
I do it on the
practice?
side, yeah. I am hoping to kind of create like a course because at some point, like one time I had way too many clients and I only have a certain amount of minutes in my days. And
Yeah,
I
plus
gotta
the
work
coffee
here
shop,
and be a
yeah.
mom and do the nonprofit, like
Yeah.
everything I'm doing. And people are like, "You do too many things," and I'm like, I do, but I only do them if they're a passion to me and it's not feeling like a burden. And once it feels like a burden, I need to shift everything. But yeah, I definitely am wanting to do an online course so that I can help more people, and so that if they're just wanting kind of the introductory, they can start there. And then that way when they do like a one-on-one with me, it's a little bit more in deep and intense. So yeah.
That's really awesome.
They are, and then
Yes, and go next step.
yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, but I guess going back, how do you balance that? I guess every.
How do I balance everything?
Yeah, I know you said
I
passion.
pray. And I talk about it out loud. And I
Yeah.
talk to myself out loud. That's
Yeah.
not weird, guys.
Yes.
Just say it. It's not weird. People I practice like a conversation with people in the mirror while I'm getting ready. And I speak to myself more often in the mirror than I ever did in my life. Like I really vamped it up about 1.5 years ago. But when I talk to myself in the mirror and just get all the word vomit out, all those like I'll be in the middle of my speech or whatever I'm going to say, and then something weird comes out and I'm like, ugh, what was that? Yeah. So it gets it all out so that when I'm actually in the conversation with someone, my brain re-sees myself in the mirror and captures all the words that I do want to keep. Okay. And so then it weeds out all the bad that I want. And not that I don't ever have bad, but it's just, it helps me get my mind on straight.
Okay, I never heard of someone who does that.
Oh yeah, like I go in deep. Like whenever I tell my employees to, confront someone else, I'm like, practice in the mirror. Like it really works. And they're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, nobody's in your car. The car is the best place. That's my favorite place to have conversations with myself.
And just try and just see how it sounds.
Yeah, and sometimes my kids will knock on the door in my room and they're like, "Mom, are you talking to me?" I'm like, "No, leave me alone."
You talk to yourself again?
I'm talking to myself, okay?
Yeah.
I want a conversation.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. And I know your kids seem like they're very independent, like that's how you taught them to be and everything. I guess, is it kind of crazy seeing like them grow into like what you always wanted to be when you were younger and everything?
It's really nice. It's really, really nice. Like I love, like there's nothing bad about the way that I grew up, but I love seeing them grow in their talents and to also feel empowered because I was just a kid and let my parents do everything. And I'm by no means not being a parent to my kids, but in little things that matter for them to feel like they're big, like they're very independent. And I love knowing that it's a little bit of a help as they grow older. My name is Angel Hussain, and this is the Apprentice Podcast.
Yes, perfect.
Is that
perfect.
good?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay.